Okay, here we have a map of Caesarea Maritima, and we will be working our way from the southern gate. And Herod began building Caesarea Maritima in 25 BC because the Romans, some 50, 75 years prior to this, had perfected concrete. It made construction much more rapid and easy to build, and they could build anywhere they wanted to. So he decided to build a port city, and it is modeled the way the Romans would like to have designed any city, with a very laid out plan. And they loved to develop their cities the way that the Roman legions would set up their field tents on a campaign. So here you have a theater that was somewhat adjacent to a circus where the chariot races would have been ran. They had water that was supplied to these pools that young boys would come out and take sprinkler cans and sprinkle down the dirt from the dust to keep the dust off the spectators so they could see the events. And here we have Herod's promontory palace, and with gardens and seat of government. There are supposed that they would have had prison cells for people awaiting trial, and trials were usually dealt out rather quickly, not like we are used to in America today. And it could be that Paul may have been in one of these areas during the time of Felix and Festus. Now, Pilate would have had this as his seat of government after the death of Herod the Great. And Herod the Great, though, we see that as I've worked on models and I've looked at his palaces, he is an individual to have been great. It was always in fear. You see that he is always have a very defensive structure around his palace areas. Now, moving up here, we have the general city area here in the southern portion, and here we have a temple. This temple was dedicated by Herod to his patron, Augustus Caesar. And Augustus Caesar had been declared a son of a god after Julius Caesar had been declared a deity by the Roman Senate. And so as you got off the ships, you could go out there and offer sacrifices to the emperor. Herod built up a platform, since this area is all one level pretty much. He built a platform, and it had vaulted ceilings beneath this platform. It could be used for storage and for whatever other needs that they had. And it's a rather expansive structure. In the times of the Crusades, they put a church on this place, and the temple had been demolished by that time. Now, the purpose of Caesarea was a port. This became the Roman seat of government in Palestine during the first, second, and third centuries. This is all done with, it's an expansive port, and you have an inner harbor, you have an outer harbor, and you have the Pharos lighthouse here, which was a copy of the lighthouse at Alexandria at its base. So you had an entrance to the harbor that could be defended. And then he built an aqueduct. The first aqueduct that was built is estimated that it could have supplied water for a population of 50,000. And throughout the city, there are pipes beneath the city that the water, as it came down off the aqueduct, would have provided the pressure to go out into those areas. These buildings here, the Middle Eastern style buildings, represent the Jewish quarter at Caesarea, which would have been somewhat in this area. Now, later, in the second century and third century, walls were expanded outwards, and other set of walls, and then 2 more aqueducts were eventually brought into the city. But this is how it would have looked during Paul's day, to the best that we know.